Hello everyone, welcome back to our Pivot Table Essentials series. In the previous video, we took our first steps in creating pivot tables. Today, we're going to talk more about the pivot table fields pane. As you will recall, the pivot table fields pane appears on the right side of the Excel window when you're working with a pivot table. As you can also see on this Excel sheet, this is the pivot table fields pane. It is the control center that allows you to determine what data is displayed in your pivot table and how it is organized. At the top, you'll see a list of all the column headers from your original data source. These are called fields. Below that, you'll see four areas: filters, columns, values, and rows. Understanding how these areas work is crucial to mastering pivot tables. Let's start with the rows area. The rows area determines what categories are displayed along the left side of your pivot table. It is used to group your data by the values in the selected field. For example, if we drag the category field to the rows area, you'll see that our pivot table now displays the unique categories from our data, which are electronics and furniture. You can add multiple fields to the rows area to create a hierarchical grouping. For instance, if we drag the region field to the rows area below category, you'll see that our data is now grouped by region within each category. This allows you to see, for example, the sales of electronics in each region and the sales of furniture in each region. The order in which you arrange the fields in the row area matters. The field at the top will be the primary grouping, and the fields below it will create subgroups. Let's just redo this and put region above category. Now we see the classification of the data by the regions primarily, and then the categories across each of the regions. Now let's talk about the columns area. The columns area displays categories across the top of your pivot table. This allows you to create a cross tabulation of your data, showing the relationship between different categories. For example, if we drag category to the columns area, you see electronics and furniture displayed as column headers. You can also use date fields in the column area. If you drag the order date field to the columns area, Excel will display the dates. Excel has a very powerful group function. If you right click on any date, you can group them by years or months or even days. Just click on expand or collapse, and then you can expand as you choose. This allows you to see how your data changes over time. Now let's look at the columns area. Let's look at the values area. This is where you specify which data you want to summarize. For example, if you want to see the total sales amount, you will drag the sales amount field to the values area. By default, Excel will sum the values in this field. You can add multiple fields to the values area. For example, if you want to see the total quantity, okay, you can drag the quantity field to the values area as well. Excel will then display both the sum of the sales amounts and the sum of quantity. It is important to understand how Excel summarizes the data in the values area. For numerical fields like sales amount and quantity, the default summary function is usually sum. However, you can change this. If you click on the arrow next to the field name in the values area, for example, this arrow of the sum of sales amount, click on it and you select value field settings. You see a dialog box like this that allows you to choose different summary functions. Here you can choose a variety of options, including count, average, minimum, maximum, product, and so on. So if you change this summary function from sum to average, then you click on OK, Excel will display the average sales amount for each category or region. Okay, in this case, each region instead of the totals. Finally, we have the filters area. The filters area allows you to include or exclude specific data from your pivot table. For example, if you want to see data for a particular region, you can drag the region field to the filters area. When you do this, a filter drop-down appears above the pivot table as we can see in row 1. You can now use this drop-down to select one or multiple items to display. The filter you apply here will affect the entire pivot table, showing you only the data that meets your criteria. To recap, the rows area groups data vertically, the columns area groups data horizontally, the values area summarizes your data, and the filter area allows you to include or exclude specific data. By understanding how these 4 areas work, you can create powerful pivot tables that provide valuable insights into your data. I encourage you to experiment with different field combinations and explore the various options available to you. The more you practice, the more comfortable and proficient you'll become with pivot tables. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to format your pivot tables to make them more visually appealing and easier to read. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.